It's my privilege, really, as the director of the Bernadette Center, to be able to offer these kinds of events. When a member of our faculty generates a new publication, when a book joins the shelves on the library, it's a major event. And it deserves a major event to launch it. So it's my great pleasure to be able to bring this event to you on behalf of CTU, our faculty, our staff, and our students. I'll introduce our speakers in just a moment. I do just want to make two quick announcements. One, of course, is that if you'll turn around, those of you who are in the room, you will certainly notice there's more food and there's more drink. And we, by all means, encourage you to enjoy it. The second thing I want to make sure everyone in the room knows is that after the presentation tonight, the book will be for sale. Over here on the side, we're able to sell the book to you, I think, at a very reasonable price. What's the price?
$30.
$30. And our author will be on hand to sign her work as well. And speaking of our author, it's my privilege to be able to introduce my colleague and friend, Chioma Ahanihu, a member of the Sisters of the Living Word in Chicago. Born and grown up in Nigeria, she's lived in the US for the past 2 decades. Sister Chioma earned a Bachelor of Social Work from Misericordia University, a Master in Social Work from the Catholic University of America. We're fellow Cardinals. In her quest to combine mental health and spirituality, she obtained a Master of Arts in Pastoral Studies and a doctorate in ministry with a concentration in spirituality from right here at Catholic Theological Union in Chicago. She's been involved in different nonprofit organizations in the field of social work. Sister Chioma contributes her gift of reflecting the word with various organizations to living out her charism, a term used in religious contexts to refer to a particular spiritual gift or grace given by God. Her charism is to give life through the Word of God. She's the director of the Center for the Study of Consecrated Life here at CTU. Prior to that, she ministered with Catholic Charities in the Archdiocese of Chicago as a psychotherapist and parish social worker. Her primary areas of interest as practical theology scholar and minister are related to today's consecrated life, reconciliation, spirituality, immigration, and racism. A few years ago, Sister Chioma, along with a few other religious women, was invited to initiate an innovative formation program in response to the need for a joint initial formation program for congregations with fewer members. This program began in Chicago in 2020. Through this initiative, she's involved in guiding younger members who are responding to the beautiful call to consecrated life through the Intercongregational Collaborative Novitiate Program, for which she currently serves on the board. Her desire to continue to witness today's global sisterhood continues to grow as she explores possibilities for women in consecrated life to collaborate globally, facilitated by migration and technology. She has a passion for travel and learning about other cultures and cuisines, and in her leisure time, she enjoys taking a walk by the lake, biking, gardening, and sewing her own clothing. I envy that for all kinds of reasons. We'll invite Sister Chioma up in just a moment, but I also want to say a word of introduction for Sister Clara Abisola Adelakun. Thank you. Sister Clara Abisola Adelakun. Abisola from Ibadan, the southwestern region of Nigeria, is a sister with the Congregation of the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration. Her academic journey demonstrates a strong commitment to knowledge that imbues the capacity to contribute to bridging the gap between different values and peoples in the world. Adesola's academic qualifications include business administration, marketing and peace studies, and conflict resolution, currently pursuing an MA in pastoral studies at CTU. Dedicated to integrating her education and learning to the service of the church and society, and with a passion to make a meaningful impact in fostering peace and collaboration with consecrated individuals from diverse backgrounds, promoting understanding, service, and faith-driven leadership. Friends, it is my privilege to invite Chioma and Abisola to please take these comfortable chairs and get a conversation about this wonderful book, Religious Women as Global Migrants to the United States, Critical Conversations about Spirituality, Mental Health, and Vocational Identity underway. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I said sitting on the hot seat.
Okay. So thank you, sister, for coming here and being with me today. Yes, and sister, so we've known each other now for a little over 2 years and continue to share sisterhood.
Thank you so much, Sister Chioma, for having me, and thank you for entrusting this responsibility to me. And reading your book was so interesting and fascinating as a migrant, as a global migrant sister. Would you like to tell us the meaning of your name? Because that's a native name from Nigeria, Chioma. How do you even pronounce this name?
Chioma Ahanihu. That's my name. Thank you for beginning with that. My name means, Chioma means good God. So Chi is God and Oma is good. So good God. A little story. I was born at the point that my parents, of course, being the second child, things were moving up for them, and they felt my coming to the world brought a lot of goodness. So in praise and thanks to God, they gave me the name Chioma. Good God.
Thank you so much. And reading this book, for me, it depicts the life of religious women, consecrated religious women. And I became so inquisitive. How did you get all the religious symbols that you use, including my own religious congregation?
Well, things happen, providence shows up in different ways, I would say. So I belong to a group. Now I've graduated from that group called Giving Voice Sisters. I graduated because I can tell you my age. I'm over 50 years. And so that group is for sisters under 50. And so in one of the times that we usually gather for retreats or for conferences. And one of our gatherings, out of nothing, I decided, sisters, why don't we gather our emblems? So our emblems together and take a picture. And that's how it happened. So they agreed to my craziness, and we brought it together. If you have the book, if you look, you will see that even the material is sitting on just a regular tablecloth. So put it there and took the picture. And yes, down the line, when this book was being conceived and the publishers were looking for pictures, they showed me a few pictures with, women, but I didn't feel it depicted the picture, the story being told in the book. And nothing, I just remember that I was going through my pictures and saw this. I said, hey, I think this would be a good picture for the cover of the book. And that's how it came to be. I sent it to my publishers and they said, yes, this looks like it speaks perfectly well, talking about sisters. And these are the emblems of various sisters. It's good you identified yours. Some of the sisters here also, some of have their emblems also in this picture.
Thank you. In your research work, you named 2 goals. Would you like to let us know why and what are the goals?
Sorry, did I finish this? So my goal in this book, in the research work, which turned into a book, first of was to find out about what happens to young adult and mid-career women who eventually become religious sisters and who I coined the word global migrant sisters to identify them when they leave their home countries and their comfort zone and become incorporated in a congregation here in the US. So what becomes of them and how did they fare in those congregations and live out their vocational call? And the second one is to start the important conversation, and look into the reality of religious life of today in US, in areas such as spirituality, mental health, and consecrated life. That was the succinct goal of this work. now turned into over 200 pages.
Thank you. Consecrated men and women, they serve as missionary migrants in the name of the gospel. In what ways, as living across generations, cultures, and races, contributed to the proclamation of the gospel of love, which is the good news?
Thank you, sister, for that question. Right, you're right to say that consecrated men and women serve as missionaries and migrants to various parts of the world as it is today. Here in the US, we can really attest to that. US being a place where people from all parts of the world gather or merge or migrate to come to live and find another life here. And so those people that come from different parts of the world come in different races and ethnicity and culture. And as they come here, maybe for education or for other reasons, some of them eventually decide to be religious women or religious men, as it were. And so that's one gift of missionary life, of people migrating from one place to the other, which I talked about in this picture.
Thank you. As we know that religious life represents a resounding yes to God, unknown yes, profound yes, which transcends the individual. And this daily sacred affirmation was first expressed at our baptism. In your own opinion, Sister Chioma, we convey our love and life through our 3 evangelical vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience. What would you like to tell us about these vows?
Thank you. I had to write down something so that I don't miss any point out of that. So it's just a few short sentences. Our vow of obedience signifies that I recognize the voice of God and his will within my religious vocation. Our vow of chastity embodies our commitment to love. We have relinquished our personal capacity to love, yet we love deeply. We cherish our biological families, and we hold dear our religious communities. Our vow of poverty asserts that we possess nothing for ourselves. We share all we have in common with our sisters and brothers. So that's the vow in a nutshell. I wouldn't say more about it. We'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. What is the implication on GMS mental health when sisters cannot meet up with the demands and challenges?
So a little bit more about the GMS, the Global Migrant Sisters that are my co-researchers in this work. These are sisters that I have been friends with, I have identified with along the line of my religious life here in the US. And in being friends with them, we have formed a relationship that we can share with each other about what we encounter in life, what is going on in our congregations, in our ministries, in our communal living, and all that. And in such sharings, bonds are established, and we can help each other in times of uncertainties and when situations don't go the way we presume that it will. And so in me wearing the hat also as a social worker, I find that an asset that I share with my sisters in such moments, that I'm able to listen a little bit more. And while many of my sisters that consult or that talk with me on issues, we don't sign paper that I'm providing mental health services to them or psychotherapy, but that's what it comes to. And all this is all in confidence that I am able to talk with them, sit and analyze some situation going on. And that also was one of the reasons when I'm looking at, I was deciding to write my thesis. It came up so much that, nobody's telling our stories as sisters going through stressful situation as migrants in the US and in other parts of the world. There's tendency to just do our thing, struggle to survive, and be part of our communities and our ministries and our lives here. But there's also the imbalance that comes in that struggle to survive and in that struggle to be a member of a community, to share your life and who you are as a person. So those are the kind of things that I've been able to support from my sisters and also received myself, because I wouldn't say I'm only giving, I also received from them.
Thank you. The gift of religious life is a sign of holiness in our world. And how is religious life calling countercultural? And how is it universally embraced?
Our life as religious men and women is a countercultural way of life. It goes, I wouldn't say against the societal norm, but not exactly as the society lives. If you think of the vow that I explained, how we live our vows, it is different from the way people in the society live. I was talking with a friend some time ago about moving to a new place, and I had to be in communication with my leadership and got their support and got their authorization to find a place. And before that happened, she's like, really? You have to talk to somebody first. I thought you work. I thought you get your money and all that. I said, yes, I work, but my money goes straight to the community and we support each other. It took us a longer conversation to understand that. And that is one countercultural way of living, because a regular person that works, they get their money and make their decision however they want it. Even if they are married, they make their decision as they want. But for us, religious men and women, we have to go through the chain of leadership to make that decision. That's one way that is countercultural. And sometimes it can be challenging, for us to authentically live that. Because the tendency is to want to take your decision, do what you want to do and all that, but that's not part of who we are in our vows, that we work with our leadership in dialogue with our leadership or those responsible for those situations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
And so what does it mean in your book to communicate across cultures?
To communicate across cultures, I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but to communicate across cultures entails deep listening. It entails your being open to accepting the other person, who they are, what they are bringing. It entails having clear communication, both to the verbal and the non-verbal communication being said, and to ask for clarity, when you don't understand that. Because the global migrant sisters carry within themselves their own culture and their own way of life as they become part of the congregations. So to communicate across culture means that you are able, especially those in leadership, those in formation, and those in vocation ministries, that you're able to understand where this person is coming from. You might not know, but asking the pertinent question, what do you mean when you say this? What does that mean? Because you didn't know the person growing up and what they know about their culture and about themselves. So having better understanding when you're communicating with a person from a different culture, I think that sets clear communication among races, because today we see ourselves, we are different races in our congregations.
Thank you. Yes, sister. Like for me, my living community now, we call it Together Community. We are from different religious communities and we are from different countries, but we live together just to ensure that our differences can form bonds stronger than division. And for people to see, oh, they are from different places, but they make effort. We are committed to live the good news of Christ. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And to explain a little bit about the Together program that students study here at CTU, and that program, it's been run by the Religious Formation Congress, and the sisters come from all over, like the sister said. It's been in existence now for a few years. They live community, they live on their own, yeah.
You made mention of GMS, their identity, their biological backgrounds, their cultural legacies, and belief systems. In your own opinion, what role does GMS play in their new environment and ministry?
The GMS, Global Migrant Sisters, play a very vital role in our communal living. They bring their culture. We bring our culture to our community. I can attest to my own community. I've had conversations about how we celebrate Christmas back home, about how we celebrate burials. I recently lost my mom last year, and that became a time for education on both ends. I had to educate my sisters, who were almost very quick to send me home, that my mother died, to send me home immediately to go bury my mother. I said, no, there are different processes that goes through, especially when an adult or an adult dies, that will have to happen before the person is buried. So it took a little bit of time. And so this is one thing that the GMS we bring, is we educate our sisters and those in our work area that, what we are and who we are and all that. And we also learn from them. We also bring our culture, we bring our prayer life, we bring who we are from our different cultural backgrounds, from our different countries that we are born, and all that.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question from that one. And would you just quickly like to tell us, what do you mean in your book when you say GMS sisters, they have 2 feet?
Okay. Yes. What that means, what I call they having 2 feet, is that these sisters, they are here. Yes, I am here. We are here. We live here physically. But we also have a second feet back home in the country of origin, because we find out that most of our family members, some of our family members live there. So there is a tendency to continue to live the balanced life of coming here, living here, and also having another faith back home. That we go home, we have things that bring us home, maybe childbirth, christening, holidays, burial, and all that. And we also have another faith here that we live with our congregations.
Thank you. During the introduction, Steve made us to know that you are a licensed social worker, a psychotherapist, and you have your doctorate in ministry. What would you like to share with us about the mental health states of GMS leaving their country of origin and coming to live the gospel of Christ in a new area?
My sisters that migrate from different parts of the world come to the US or other parts of the world for reasons. Some came with their families, maybe when they were very young. Some came to study. Some came as adults to work, and some actually left their country of origin to come here straight to join the religious life here. So people come with different reasons. And some also came out of frustration or going through some stress or trauma in their country. So it doesn't matter what reason the person came to live here or live in other parts of the world, there is always the stress that comes with that transition, that comes with that movement. Even leaving home, leaving your comfort zone, leaving your family and friends. So that stress, when not checked, can result to other things. You know, when I shared that some sisters talk with me privately, we share about what's going on and all that. Those are kind of the kind of things that I hear, the kind of things that I talk with. I do not diagnose, just to say that. I am not licensed to diagnose, so I do not do that. But I can help a sister in different ways going through some mental health issues. And I call them wellness, you know, because the goal is for the person to become better, to know how to live and cope with the stress and live a joyful and better life. So those are the mental health issues that go on. And this could come from, you know, their ministries, from their academics. It could come from their community living. It could come from meeting people. The current situation of things going on in our country, in the US today, the immigration issue going on, has been a trigger for many of my sisters, I would say. Because I mean, as we came due to different reasons, so is the immigration process. It takes time to go through that. So some people, and we are all at different stages. So the current climate, the current immigration climate of the country, which I think is hot now, has heightened the increased the temperature for a lot of immigrants here. We are not exempt from that. I recently heard that there are some Christian sisters that have been deported. And that's a reality. I, for one, carry my passport around. I'm glad I'm a US citizen, but I carry my passport around. And so that affects, there's a lot of trauma that go through that. Some that came here maybe in different ways. Struggling at this point also reminds them of that reason or the things that have happened while they are here, or the process of coming here. So there's a lot of stress or trauma that is going on. I've experienced lately. I think the immigration issue have heightened that in us immigrants.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sister.
You wrote a chapter on leadership, power, and completion. Would you like to provide more insights?
Okay, talking about the coming to completion, I realized that two of my co-researchers talked about that in my interview with them. And coming to completion is a term that is used. It means, it carries different meaning a little bit for each congregation, but what it means is that this congregation have decided not to take new membership, to look at themselves and think of a way to continue on living their lives until perhaps the last person dies and all that. And so that translates in different ways for different congregations. So with two of my sisters coming from a different part of the world, and this is their reality now. And they're not thinking of maybe leaving that congregation and joining another congregation. It brings up a different kind of stress to them, because my sisters, majority of the sisters who are white, they are the issues going on sometimes would be health issues, trying to change ministry to a different ministry, which wouldn't be a full-time ministry now. Maybe they are retired and they are doing less work and they are still, functioning and doing their work. But the younger sisters who are minorities, I would say, and their congregation is at this point of considering coming to completion, that brings a lot of question and a lot of tension to them, especially to those two sisters who are interviewed as part of this work. And I felt that it's very necessary to talk about that in that case, because since at least 2 out of 7 sisters talked about it, that means that this is an issue going on. And I know it's an issue going on because even in, I've read some LCWR leadership collaborative, leadership collaborative, I've forgotten the acronym for LCWR. Yes, but it's the group that all superiors, all leadership in different congregations belong to. They discuss about this, about coming to completion. They work with sisters that are in that situation. They journey with them and all that. So I know that this is an issue going on that is very vital to talk about, to discuss in this book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You also cited a book called Finding the Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always an interesting book to read. Please tell us more about it.
Well, I can't say all in that book, but many of you would know Sister Sandra Schneider's, the book she wrote, Finding the Treasures. I cited I cited her there where she talked about, while all religious women live in the community, there are rules in the congregation's constitution that they all abide by. And these rules are maintained by elected leaders of the congregation. And I cited her that, where I was talking about leadership and how leadership affects the newer members of the congregation. And these elected leaders in the congregation, the need for them to understand about these sisters, about their culture, about who they are, because the tendency sometimes could be that sisters going through what they're going through might isolate themselves, might keep quiet and all that, but with the support of their leaders, their elected leadership, they'll be able to help bring them out, especially at those times that they are feeling so lonely, being here on their own, maybe those that don't have family members here. The leaders are able to bring out, to connect them with peers and all that, to help them to function better in their community and to be part of their, to live a better community life amongst themselves. So that was why I cited Sister Sandra Schneider's, where she talked about the role of elected leaders in their congregations.
Thank you. Finally, you have a chapter on implications, recommendation, and practical application. And so we would like to hear from you. What is the recommendation for? What is the practical application meant?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I will only share a few and I will leave the rest to be read. So get yourself a book, sisters, and read uh, all the recommendations. But a few recommendations I gave is to be proactive in building community relationships among members. And while I emphasize that leadership of the congregation does that, but it's also imperative on each community member, to be proactive in their community, not just the congregation, but in their community, to be proactive to build that relationship among members, because it is in that living condition, in that very community, that the sister will feel a sense of support. In building, better relationship with them, they'll feel a sense of support amongst themselves and among the sisters before it actually extends to the whole congregation and outside in the ministry. Another recommendation I gave is to develop peer support, that leadership help sisters, actually encourage them and make sure that they develop peer support. My leadership, when I moved to Chicago, encouraged me each time I needed to go out to the Giving Voice events and all that. They encouraged me to do that. So that helps you to find the support that you need, the peer support that you need. And that's where you can, find the friendship, flourish, get other information about religious life, get other information about things that happen in here in Chicago. I can talk. Sometimes we go to Thursday prayer together, we go for ice cream socials, we did all that. And that's through the encouragement that I got from my leadership and the sisters, to do that. So that's part of what I wrote as part of our recommendation. Also, to help develop new networks outside of the cohort support with migrant sisters, which helps them to develop a better sense of belonging. And better education and awareness creation for members. Sisters that are born here, let's say, for instance, here in Chicago, knows what goes on in Chicago and all that, other than myself, who came here and I'm living here. So if I live in a house with a sister who was born here or who has lived in Chicago for a long time, the sister will be able to tell me that these are the things that we have. Oh, there's an Igbo mass here. I've heard about the Nigerian mass. I've heard about this community. Check them out and be part of that. And that helps you to connect more with your people. Providing and sharing vital information in discussing issues in the community. That it's very important to provide that sacred space that sisters are able to share confidently, that they are not being looked at. Why are you saying that? Why do you have to? Do we need to hear all that and all that? But no, to provide that sacred space that people are able to discuss about themselves, and that helps to reduce the vulnerability in everybody. I say everybody now because even the migrants, yes, they feel very vulnerable. But the sisters also that they're experiencing, or their co-workers or somebody outside there that they are having that experience with, also is vulnerable in the situation. So providing that education or that support helps to reduce the vulnerability that we feel, that sisters feel, and brothers also. I don't want to stay on the sisters, because I know men are in the same space, all of us are in the same space together. Is it time?
Do you want to take questions from your audience?
Okay. All right. Okay, so please, at this time, I would love to take questions from the audience.
That includes the Zoom room.
Oh, okay, yes.
Is Vanessa White?
White, yes.
Vanessa White. Professor here at CPU. I'm always, as professor of spirituality, I'm always interested in what was it that motivated you? What was it that moved you to say, this is what I wish to write about?
Thank you for that. I'm not surprised you're asking me that question. What at the point that I made the decision that this is what I'm writing about was there was an incident that happened. A sister shared with me of a situation that happened in her community and sought my opinion on how to handle it. And after that, I said to myself, I think it would be good to start telling our stories. But how do we tell our stories? We do have stories to tell. And that was the time, a stage in my school that I needed to produce a thesis statement, produce a topic, produce all that and all that. So I got in prayer on that. How do I translate what I'm feeling inside into something readable and not feel very, of course, there's a confidentiality in it, but not look vulnerable or not look like pity me. So it's like I started exploring ways to go around it, to talk about it, and really see the two sides of the. But I think my social work had also helped me. Having been a social worker for a long time, heard a lot of stories from people that helped me to know that this is the story I need to tell, and it still continues on. So thank you. Yes.
As you were writing and now as you look back, what were the surprises that you encountered? And were there things that you kind of intuited and got confirmed in your book, in the writing of your book?
As I began selecting my co-researchers, I had about 10, 12 sisters that I have written down and talked to. I started talking to them individually before we, I told them this is what I'm thinking and all that. Out of that 10, 12 then, only 4 were ready to talk. I was surprised at that point. But I also began seeking other sisters out, telling them that I want to pen the story down. There'll be complete confidentiality. While we're telling your story, it's masked such that you wouldn't know. I don't call congregations, I don't call the names, I don't call the nation where you're from and all that, but you will still get a taste of the story. So that was the surprise. And that also gingered me. Ginger, an American word. We say ginger in Nigeria, it kind of motivated me. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I speak in Igbo sometimes. So that motivated me to want to write this, to really turn it down so that, and as I began to write, my thesis director, we continued working. It happened that, and that's how this book actually came to birth now. It happened that the director of the program told me this story that, every year when they go for their annual conference, that they always take a walk or two to share with their colleagues there. And my walk was one that he took with him for that conference. And by the time people finished reading it, they said, this needs to be out. This needs to be published immediately. So their recommendation, why they passed me to graduate, was that I need to publish this book as soon as possible. So that became another stress by the time I graduated, but a happy one that I got into and started working on all that. So that's also it's a surprise to me. I wasn't thinking that I'll be writing something that the world will read. I only wanted to delve into the stories of my sisters. Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for the wonderful work. Always when I read the work of African scholars, I always notice use of metaphors. Even when you were presenting, there was one, the work on 2 feet. So I'm just wondering, did you employ a number of them in the work?
Did you see any sister when you read it? Yes, I think I used, and I will explain in English, not so much, but I did use it. Yes. English being my second language or the third or fourth language. So I listen, speak in other, I think in other languages. So it will also come out in the writing. So I did it. Thank you.
Chioma,
Yes.
I have a question from the Zoom room
Okay.
from your colleague Kevin Considine.
Oh, hi, Kevin.
First, he says, congratulations, and he looks forward to reading your book.
Thank you.
His question is, if you could choose which CTU class would adopt your book for their syllabus as either recommended or required reading, which class would it be?
Oh.
All of them. Yeah.
You heard that, Kevin, right? Well, yes, that's true. It will be applicable because CTU being a praxis-oriented school, it will be applicable to many of the classes here. I think of enculturation classes, I think of spirituality classes, I think of mental health classes and pastoral care classes, ethics classes, because you get to learn some bit of the cultures here and all that. So yes, I think it will be applicable in all the classes. Yes.
No. My question is this, this is the room where I teach religious priesthood on Mondays.
Yes.
And I'm beginning to drive my students crazy, focusing in on the religious priesthood of the lay brothers and the religious sisters, reminding us that all Christians are priests. And so if religious women are priests in baptism, then their ministry is a form of religious priesthood. Is there anything in there that I can use for my classes?
Bless you. The chapters.
I need to write something on the religious priesthood of sisters.
So one that comes to me is a practical theologian view of global migrant sisters, which is applicable to seminarians and priesthood. So you explore.
No, but you're not getting me. I'm talking about sisters not as ordained priests, but as baptized priests.
As baptized priests. Yeah, hold on, let me.
Like Vanessa.
Yes, we all experience we all experience chapter 3, the impact on race, bias on the mental health and spirituality of GMS. I think that can be applicable to that. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Claire. Sister, I know you had your hand up, so I'll come to you too. Claire, Sister Claire.
Yes. I often think how hard it would be to do formation in your second language and not your own language. And so I was wondering if you talk at all about the formation process and how that affects people when they have to do it in their another language. And I think it could be good for formators, if that is in there anywhere, but even if it's not in there anywhere, it could be good for formators to read this book too.
Yes, it is. And you're absolutely right. It's difficult for formation in a different language because, like I've said it here now, you've heard it a few times. I think in Igbo, and then it comes out in English, and sometimes, like I might have a joke in Igbo, and when I say it in English, it loses the taste. It will be the same. You're in a class with formators or other formandees, and they are talking about something, and they are all laughing. You don't understand why they are laughing. And even when they explain it to you, it makes no sense to you, So yes, and it's applicable because that's part of, the stresses or the tension within to want to understand, to want to be part of, but it takes time to catch up. But yes. Yes, sister. Oh, yes.
I'm a Nigerian and she's a Nigerian. And in Nigeria, we also learn in English. Nigeria is a highly diversified country. We have over 371 languages, tribes, and cultures. And the general medium of expression for us is English, not dominating our different native language. So when we go to school in Nigeria, we struggle to learn English because we are British colony. And so most of our teachings, learning is in English without relegating your own native language. But it is not the same as in when you come into the United States of America. The pronunciation, the accent, the vocabulary, the words, it is totally different. So the struggle continues. It is ongoing. And that is why we try to struggle to learn, to listen, and to keep moving. But it is highly challenging.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Sister Pamela, do you have a question? Yes.
Mine is not solely a question. My apologies for coming late. I wasn't here when you started. I needed to get off work to be here. I honestly want to thank Sister Chioma for this great job, for putting this together. Sitting back here and listening to her, I think she's really done a marvelous work. I'm a religious like her, and I know how important it is to have someone listen to you. We live in a community where we are like sisters from different backgrounds, different upbringing, different formation, and then we come together and we try to live as a family. In as much as we try to accommodate each other's differences, we know we are all differently made. We all have our characters. Even siblings from the same parents do not behave the same. Talk more of people from different backgrounds. So, and oftentimes, speaking out, having someone listen to you, like what Sister Chioma is doing, is really important. Sometimes people suffer a kind of mental health conditions just because they were not able to speak up. They were not able to express the emotional feeling or trauma that they're going through. They had no one to listen to them or to even say, hey, I think this is what you could do to help yourself or to get out of this situation. So, Sister Chioma, thank you for putting this piece of work together. And I think the women religious will benefit greatly from it. And not just women religious, but very many other people. And then you mentioned the NCWR, that's the National Conference of Women Religious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. Yes. Yes, yes.
It's just a short question and specifically coming from me because I'm also from another country. So when you were doing all this research for your book, and it's basically I pose this question from my side. What were the limitations when you were with the sisters having conversations? Because I believe that it is not easy for someone to be open in front of another person, wholly and solely, like as a whole and with the soul. So, what were the challenges to get deep into those people to get their personal experiences?
Yes, thank you, sister. Yes, there were some difficulties, especially at the beginning, at the initial conversation. One thing I did was to really establish, the form. What is it called now? The form, confidentiality form that I listed where and how the conversations that we're having, where it will be used, and it will be completely anonymous, and the work will be stored in a very safe place until when it's finished, and then we discard it and all that. And of course, there is the ethical guidelines also that I needed to take as part of doing the program. So with that helped a little bit. But like I said, some people didn't want to be part of it. Some people were not ready yet to talk about their stories. And we're all in different stages in our formation and all that. So some people will say, you know what, at this point, I don't think I want to share about what's going on with me and what I'm experiencing. So that was one major limitation. Also, people wanted to know, where is this going? Who will read this book, or where is it? What is the aim and all that? So I had to explain. It took me time to explain to people, to sisters, to buy into it or to be part of it. Yeah. But by the time it got to this point, and I shared the book with my co-researchers, they are all appreciative of it. Some were able to identify their words, without their names and all that. Some words have been changed, but still maintaining the meaning of what they meant by what they said, just to mask it so that we don't identify the congregation or the country the person is from and all that. Yeah. Thank you, sister. Yes.
Thank you, Chioma. As we prayed in the beginning for, good work to bear good fruit, and thinking about the impact of work like that, and God's gonna do what God's gonna do.
Exactly.
It doesn't hurt to give our opinion now and again, So I'm just wondering if you had any hopes about the impact of this kind of work, either for sisters who are part of the global migrant sister kind of community, or others who are outside of that community. Do you have any hopes or wishes that you might want to name? Ripple effects, that takeaways people might.
My hope is, as we read and we hear about this book, that it will continue to make concrete the joy we all have as religious women or men, because yes, even amidst all the struggles that I experienced, that these sisters shared, I think it was Nancy that asked one of my surprises. One of the surprises is that people still express their joy of, no matter how hard it is, I am so happy being a sister. I am so happy, in the life and all that. So, and that's my hope, that no matter what the present situation it is that you're going through, that it doesn't make you question your decision to be in religious life. you know. Or even if it questions it, that you continue to say yes to it. Is it an easy life? No. But it is one that is very joyful. It's a joyful life, I would say. So that's my hope, you know, that people will continue to find that source of joy, which is God. And for me and for many others, you find that through prayer, through connection with people, through relationship and living in community and all that. So that's my hope, you know, that as people read it, that it inspires them. It inspires all of us to continue to live a joyful life, like Francis said, you know, that we'll be joyful religious. Yes, it's definitely.
Your book is related to global migrant sisters.
Yes.
I imagine, because part of it has to do with being a migrant. It can also be relevant to brothers, as we were saying earlier. But as well as even those who are not even in religious life and find themselves in a completely different context, having to navigate the US context in many different ways. So I'm imagining that some of the, because in sharing our stories, sometimes you can see yourself in the other person's story. So I'm wondering to what extent, even if it's not religious, to what extent even some of the recommendations, some of the things that people would have shared, sisters would have shared, because they're on different aspects, they're in different stages of their formation, that other persons who are not even discerning a religious vocation can benefit from that.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. Incidentally, one of my friends who is a Muslim, I read this book, and she said, wow, I've learned a lot about Catholic Church, about Christianity, and even about my own self, to find the joy and the hope in my own religion in this from this book. And thanked me so much that she learned a lot about the religious women. So yes, I think this book is applicable to people that are not in consecrated life as well. You know, you can translate it in your own life, how you're living your life today, and the way you say yes to the call of your own life. It could be as a married person, it could be as a single person, it could be in different categories of living that you decide or you find yourself. But yes, anybody, this book is meant for everybody. It's not just for those in religious life. So, are we past time? Yes, I think. Once I see Peter stand, I
think in the spirit of joy, let me invite everybody here to speak for the whole CTU community and express our joy and congratulations.
Yes.
For those who are in the room, I'm going to invite Sister Chioma to take the author's place of pride over here at the sales design. We have a QR code if you would like to make a purchase using electronic means. We also can handle some cash, I believe, too. I'm going to invite Peter Cunningham to put a link for purchase for the book into the chat. And for everyone who is here in the room, I would like to encourage you toward the food and drink in the back of the room. We're all very grateful that you've all been here with us today, online and in person. Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.